never just work out. This could have been so smooth. And then it gets me mad at the person who's going to pick up eventually. I'm going to start taking it out of them. Right on time, too. We're going to try another way here. I've got multiple ways. Do-do-do-do-do-do. No one's picking up. Okay, let's try this version. We're going to copy that. Uh-oh. Got a message here. Okay, he says he's in communication with me, the man. So this is big. He says, hey, it's... And I'm waiting, a ... What's going on here? Uh-oh. Join? Could it work? Getting nothing. Okay, we're waiting. I'm waiting on his ... Trust me, this is going to be worth it, everybody. Contact at, okay. I'm waiting on his ... He's mentioning something right now. So we're just waiting. I mean, to me, again, every second that goes by feels like a lifetime. Calling but not getting through for some reason. I'll call you. Hang tight. Okay, we're going to try this again. You're hearing the da-da-da-da-da. Boo-da-boo-da-boo. I mean, he's right there. He's saying, oh, connecting. Hell yeah. Are you there? Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me okay? Considering these AirPods aren't great.
Yeah, it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Hella Mark Harley.
Gentlemen.
So you're on FaceTime. We're doing this. So I'm going to point you to the camera here. I'll turn around, you know, for important moments, but I want people to see your face. We don't have a whole Zoom setup, like I said. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Hella Mark Harley from The Fighter and the Kid.
Yes.
Yeah, on, Mike. I appreciate it.
This is awesome. You know, I actually am kind of obsessed with you now, to tell you the truth. You know, when we first saw you, I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, I mean, look at yourself. You're the Hulk. I mean, the hair, the goatee, the everything. I couldn't believe you existed. And I, like many others, took the easy route. And I just started making Hella Mark Harley jokes until I realized you're actually not the guy I'm after.
Appreciate that, and I appreciate people who give me a second chance because I'm very aware that my appearance is divisive, and people can, you know, you're free to think whatever you want about me. I do appreciate when people, you know, are able to reconsider. I think that shows a lot of mental dexterity.
Yeah,
you know, if you can take a first impression and turn them to, and similarly to you actually, because people have presented you to me as a hater. The first time I heard you brought up, it was like RedBar. Oh, he just hates on all the LA comics, and so that kind of stayed in my mind until recently. I started watching some of your programming, and my takeaway was you're kind of like the truth detective of the LA comedy scene.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, that's heartwarming. And you know what? I find a lot of heartwarming moments with you. And I tell people this all the time. I go, guys, you know, sometimes a guy can rule, and don't mistake ruling for somebody who sucks. You know, I'll tell you, the first time, you know, somebody left a comment or something like RedBar's watching on your page, and you said something like, oh yeah, is he ever even able to get out of his wheelchair, this sick old man with no friends?
Yes, and that was me being hyperbolic.
No.
But okay.
That's
you get it because I'm doing that. It's like in response to people go like, I believe in kind of reciprocating in fun the tone that people give to my page. So it's like,
that to me,
that seriously.
Yeah, no. That to me ruled, and I found, you know, how exciting that was to hear. And I couldn't believe you knew me. You know, to me, The Fighter and the Kid, that's a famous show. You're talking about Brian Callan, Brendan Schaub. This is fame. I didn't know they knew of me. Well, I did, but I mean, I can't believe you knew of me. So
overlap, I'd say. From TFAC, I met a lot of fans of TFAC K who will talk about you too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How did you hear about me, if you don't mind me asking?
The first time I heard about you, actually, I think was Icy told me about you a couple of years ago, and then, but this was in reference, like, again, he wasn't even speaking negatively. He was just like, "Oh, somebody sent me this
Who's that?
video."
Who said that? Who's that, Brendan?
Chappelle Lacey.
Oh, Chappelle. I thought you meant Dave Chappelle. I was going to go, ooh. Chappelle Lacey. That's the black guy.
Chappelle Lacey had brought you. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And he's a good friend of mine. He's a really sweet guy. And he had mentioned you, like somebody sent him like it wasn't about you. It was so much like somebody was sending him a video that was, I don't need to see like this guy, shitting on Brendan or whatever. But since then, a fan of T-Fat K that I met in Portland, she was really into you and kind of turned me on to like what your content was actually about.
So does Brendan and Brian, do they talk about me ever?
I haven't heard them talk about you, but Brendan's like aware. I genuinely, like, when he says like I don't read comments and stuff like that, he faced that kind of criticism, right?
Yeah.
Honestly wants to face almost anything negative about himself, and that's, to his detriment, because I read all my comments. Not that I'm that big, but like it gives you the temperature of the room, because people will come and talk shit on my page, but I go, well, look, if it was 90% of the people on my page saying I sucked or don't listen to people or I'm rude or whatever, maybe I would self-reflect on that and kind of go, maybe I need to change course. But mostly people are positive. There's some haters that I have fun with, or people talking shit, but I consider that kind of part of the fun of reading comments.
Yeah, it is fun. Comments should be fun. You're right.
Like, that's your community. I don't know why else people would come to social media. So if you're not like on your page reading comments, reading messages, that's the fun of, and why I think I like, even though I'm like a micro niche influencer, people come to have fun with me, I'd say, for better or worse.
You're a micronutrient influencer, in my opinion. Oh, no sound. I got to tell you, I love the name. I'm walking around my house all week going, Hella Mark this, Hella Mark that, Hella Mark yes, Hella Mark. I love this Hella Mark Harley. To me, that's why you're here. I mean, if your name wasn't...
Thank you for noticing, Fred.
Yeah. If
Mark
your name...
Harley isn't great. Mark Harley isn't that great, but you want to repeat Hella Mark Harley.
Hella Mark Harley. And guys, you got to follow him on Instagram. He's like bigger than The Rock. He is fucking huge. Like, to the point where I'm surprised Joe Rogan isn't bringing you up on his show to show you how jacked you are. You're like... You're more jacked than most, like the 99% of the population. Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but I have started a workout routine. Okay?
Actually, I heard you talking about it on the last show. I watched a good chunk of the last show.
Oh, good.
I heard you talking about the protein and stuff like that.
Yes.
And that's always exciting for me. That's one of the big reasons I'm on social media, and I try to answer as many people's questions as I can, because yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I love this gym stuff now. Now I'm getting in Instagram. I'm getting all this gym crap. I'm getting ads for every product under the sun. But then I'm getting like these gym meme videos. I'm seeing your videos. I love this. So I want to tell you this so you know I'm serious. I started working out November 14th. December 14th.
After being very sick.
December 14th. It is now almost February 14th. I've gained 5 pounds of lean muscle mass.
And it may not, people have a weird idea in their head that like 5 pounds of muscle isn't a lot, but it's actually very significant. It is a lot. Yeah.
In 3 months.
Lie about it. When you look at these celebrity guys, like, who's the guy who plays Thor? In the Marvel movies.
Yeah, who's the guy? Yeah, I'm sure you don't know that guy's name from front to back. Oh, please, that's your hero. You don't know who plays Thor. Yeah. Why don't you go check your Instagram, the guy that you put the bell on? You'll find out his name real quick. This guy, and I want to ask you this, is there any way you could give me some fitness tips today on the show in front of all these guys here, maybe to get me
I love it. This guy's... I'm a believer.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I know this is awkward.
I'm a believer in things, because most of the advice you get on fitness is like money to be made in overcomplicating things rather than getting to the point and simplifying things. And I find the best results often come from simpler understanding of things, or just simply developing a routine that you're going to stick to. It doesn't have to be the perfect routine of the diet, but you have to be something you enjoy. Then you're going to do more of it.
I'll tell you this, Hella Mark. Let me tell you, Hella Mark, I am addicted, literally addicted to fitness. All I think about is, and it might be more of the buying fitness products that I'm addicted to. Not a day goes by where I don't buy 5 things for my home gym. You know, I'm buying every different grip. I'm buying every different little pulley attachment. I mean, wait till these people see, because come summer, I'm going to start wearing a T-shirt on the show, which I've never done. And
Nice.
People are going to be blown away by not only my lats, but my traps, my tries, all of it. It's all equally being done. I don't think anybody's doing fitness as good as I am right now. That's why I like to say that. But I'm very excited to befriend you because I want and need a fitness friend.
Well, I like being that person for people because although I got into this stuff at an earlier age because of football, it is honestly really cool for me to see people get into it and go through what you're experiencing, which is kind of like, as you said, it's addictive, but it's like, yes, be addicted because that's going to start this habit that could last the rest of your life, hopefully.
Well, really, it's getting to be ridiculous. I mean, I'm doing 4 days a week right now, which is too little for me. I mean, on the days off, I'm dying. All I'm thinking about, I think about nothing except getting in that home gym.
And honestly, that's relatable. Like, because the real thing that I'll always come back to fitness with, and people will look at me, and often one of these projections, they're like, you're obsessed with your body. And it's like, I like to look nice. Yeah. But the real benefit is it's a mood enhancer. You know, you go and you feel good from working out. So that's what keeps me coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Not just the aesthetic.
Yeah. Know? If I did a show after my workout, it would be the best show in the world. I mean, these people don't even understand the high that I get from these pull down. All I do is basically lap pull downs. But that's enough, I think. And I think that, no, I'm just kidding. I don't want to make you think I'm doing a goof here.
I would say this. Is not so like even you could get away with doing like
no. I'm not doing. I mean? No, I'm doing a workout app. I'm doing this personal trainer app. I'm doing it all. But let's move on from that because I'll show the people my results. You know, come summer, they're going to be their breath's going to be taken. That's really all that matters. But you know what's so interesting? We started out as mortal enemies, kind of. You know, everybody would think we're enemies. What happened? This is so interesting. Right around the time I started kind of falling in love with you, it seemed like you were starting to like me. What's this about?
You know, because when I first got these notifications, people coming to my page from your show, and then I did see clips of it, and again, like you making fun of me just based on my appearance or what I was saying, and like I accept that because I go, yes, based on the associations, based on my appearance, based on what I'm putting out of the world, you have every right to mock me based on your gut reaction to it. And
that was so hack of me. By the way, that's so hack and so wrong because you know what? When I find out that you've been mocked by some of my mortal enemies, like I found out some other shows make fun of you. And, you know, this fighter in the Kid Reddit, I'll tell you this fighter in the Kid Reddit, they don't know what to make fun of. You know, they really don't know what to make fun of. And they hang on Brendan. It's Brendan all day, every day, when it really should be Callan. I find Callan to be the bigger monster. You know, and you worked with these guys. And, you know, I started making fun of you, and then I realized I think that's like what a hack would do. I think making fun of you is like the obvious, stupidest thing that a person could do. And you bring, here's where I learned that you weren't a person I should be making fun of. Your Instagram stories. The way you post these lighthearted memes all day and the stuff that you post and the photos that you post of yourself, you're in this game for joy. You find joy in this, and you want to make people do a little smile at the end of the day. I don't find...
That's a really nice way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a really nice way to put it. And I feel... You make me feel understood.
Yeah, and I see you arguing with everybody. I see you fighting with people, but then I see this other side of you that is kind of like me, where it's like it's mostly about the fun and it's not really as serious as maybe some people are taking it. Is that
People always
true?
project anger onto me. Yes, people always project anger onto me when I'm. And again, I actually have a lot of positive interactions all day because most people they'll message me about fitness. I try to spend as much time as I can like actually helping people. And I know that sounds grandiose, but it's like that's what feels good. Really feel good to argue with people, and I'll post that, but people will project that I'm spending like hours a day doing this. I'm like, I'll spend 5 minutes going back and forth. I write quickly, so I'll do a snarky comment to somebody who's telling
Yeah.
me I have lip fillers or facial surgery, and I'm like, you're a dude coming to my page telling me I have lip fillers, like,
Yes.
like get a fucking life. But because also I go, hey, this is an option for anybody watching my stories. If somebody's talking shit to you, the common wisdom is block and delete. Just don't read the comments. Fuck that, dude. Have some fun with it. Like go back and forth with people and don't take it, laying down. And I think this common wisdom of like, oh, if you have any sort of notoriety, because I don't have a big following, but I have enough where people will occasionally come to my page to be negative, and I embrace it and sometimes you'll talk to people and just kind of be human with them and go like, hey, why are you doing that? Why are you messaging me to fucking talk to you? Like, what's going on with you? And sometimes they'll admit, like, yeah, you know what? I was having a bad day.
I don't like that take.
I was in a bad
Listen,
place.
I understand people come to that take a lot. I don't like that take. If somebody's messing with you, believe me, they hate your guts, okay? They fucking hate you. They despise you. I do this to people all the time. All I'm saying is
that's a small percentage of people. Normally, I just like I'll fuck with people to the end of the road. I'm saying, let's say 5 to 10% of people have this reaction where they actually turn around, and that's nice. But that's not going to be every time. And yes, some people do come with genuine malice.
Yeah,
but I go, I'm going to fucking beat your ass verbally and have fun with it and post it. And everybody can read it. You know?
And you know why? It's because nobody actually hates you. Okay, so you're kind of different where people might think they hate you. They start making jokes like I did, and then they realize, this guy isn't really somebody I actually hate. So maybe that does happen with you. I found this so cool. I made some comment. I said, you know what, I was on your Instagram a couple weeks ago and I saw this picture of you and you really are breathtaking. And, you had this flowing hair, you had these big muscles and you took this selfie and I said, this is an amazing shot. This guy actually rules. And I saw a lot of people were engaging with the comment and liking it. And a lot of people were like, wow, Hella Mark Harley and Mike, they're flirting. This is a match. You saw those comments too. And I go, I gotta know more about this Hella Mark. And you know what was so weird? Right around that same time, this is why I think it's witchy. Right around that same time, there were rumors floating around. I didn't know this when I reached out to you. There's rumors floating around that you're no longer working with the fighter and the kid, that they fired you. This is what the word on the street is.
And I guess what was abnormal about it, probably what got to you, was like a send off. You know what I mean? And normally, so if Chappelle leaves or Cat leaves or Malik leaves, even on bad terms, they gotta give them this positive send off.
Yeah, you tell everyone, you update everybody.
Kind of referenced so people were sending me clips of Brendan going like, well, I had to fire some people. Okay,
let's talk about it. What happened? Why would Brendan Schaub fire you and not mention? Why would he fire you to begin with? What happened there?
I think and I'm going to go over this. Like my only mission here. I don't really want to I'm not bitter or upset about it because I know why I was fired, and it's basically
You're cutting in and out a little bit. You're just cutting in and out. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. But yeah, you're cutting in and out.
Okay, here we go.
There you go. That's a little better.
So we had a few dust ups before, and kind of the general theme of this would be if I corrected him on anything, it would be an issue.
Really?
We had an argument 6 months where I almost got fired because he was trying to tell me that engagement was too low on his Instagram page.
No.
An audit. And he goes, there's only 0.3% engagement. You guys need to reply to more comments.
Oh,
and I
my God.
think that engagement means replying to comments? And he goes, yes. And I go, that's not what it means. He goes, yes, it is. And we kind of have this argument where I have to explain to him engagement means likes, comments, saves, shares. And, there's a lot more going on there. I've been trying to figure out your Instagram for months now, and I don't know exactly what's going on to it, but the non-follower reach is limited. I'm looking at, like, I'm trying to solve this problem for months, and then suddenly this other person comes
Well,
along and it's like,
you,
has the answer, right?
no, this is crazy. First of all, he shouldn't be worried about engagement. This engagement thing is a bunch of crap. I mean, he started getting aggravated with you because his Instagram engagement wasn't what he expected it to be. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and now he could
Yikes.
probably frame it differently, but basically, it's the pattern is a lot of criticism without like a standard. You know what I mean? So you can
Of
criticize the things,
course.
hey, you're supposed to do this, but there was a lot of incidents. There were several incidents that were kind of mimicked this, that were like inventing a standard the day after. Why didn't you get this thing that I didn't ask for the day after? And you can take that for a while, but then when you push back on it and it escalates and you have to correct somebody and they refuse to correct it, and this is just, I'll put out more info about this because I'm interested in just like, I'll let people read these exchanges and decide for themselves. But that was one example of like, then we're on the group chat with this IG guru, like, because he deflected,
Wow.
like, I'm going, no, the definition of the word you're using is wrong. We go to a group chat with the IG guru. He told me I made her cry because I was asking questions like, hey, like I was just, being, in my opinion, diplomatic, but sort of a little bit
Yeah.
direct, and just going, hey, so what's up with this? You said you fixed the shadow ban, but what I'm seeing on his page is that you got more engagement on this post because you collabed with some
Oof. I mean,
profile that I
why
see
is that
followers.
why is that something he's even concerned with? Is it because, I have a suspicion, is it because the views have been going down on these shows that they're
Yeah,
hosting?
I think there's a lot of panic around that. And look, Mike, my concern, if I ever post something and it doesn't get the engagement that I want, I go, maybe my content sucks. Can I do better? Can I be funnier? Can I post a better picture? Can I post a better caption? Can I do something that involves me getting better? Aside from like you got to post at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
and like, fuck all that shit, because I don't think that really works. I
Well,
think the
and it
only
could
answer.
drive a person crazy. My belief is you post something because you want to update somebody. That's
Correct.
it. As
Correct.
far as I'm concerned, you put up a post because you want somebody to know something that only you know and you want to tell them. And outside of that, you really shouldn't be worrying about it. At this point in Brendan's career and Brian Callan, the last thing they should be doing is be comparing likes from post to post like that. It really shows a stunted or a stinted part of growth in their careers, that they're still worrying about this engagement in such a
Yeah.
newbie way. That's just fascinating. I thought they were above stuff like this at this point of their careers.
Yeah, and I'll say this because you mentioned the declining views on The Fighter and the Kid, and like, I think, there's a lot of blame going around of everything, but hey, is the show the best show it could be? Are you giving the fans what they came initially for, your old fan base, if you're not evolving or even just asking the question of, are the fans happy with the show? And I think in this instance, the old adage of don't read the comments because there's nothing useful. And Brendan McConnell, I've heard Brendan say, no hater in the comment has ever given me a tag to a joke. But it's not
Jesus
about that.
Christ.
Actually getting a joke from the comments. It's about taking the temperature of the room, right? And
Sure.
if 90% of the people in the comment section say, you constantly interrupt, you're very rude to people, you're arrogant, you cut people off, like, even when I appeared on The Fighter and the Kid, I came on like 5 times as a guest before I, was in the room for each episode. And from the get go, he kind of brought me on. Like, the first time I came on, they wanted to talk a lot about, you know, uh, weightlifting and nutrients and anabolics and all that. And I'm an open book with regards to that stuff, but some of it is more scientific. And I'm not gonna talk about steroids without being very precise,
Sure.
because I don't want to advocate them to anybody without going, here's what I take. This is why I take it. I don't recommend it to you, but if you wanted to do it, so some of these questions require complex answers. And I just felt like I couldn't open my fucking mouth without being cut off four
Wow.
seconds later. And that's the experience of nearly every guest. And I think people catch on, like, because if you were to graph the viewership or whatever, people get over time, you'll see one by one people going, I tried, I can't take it anymore. And that's why it's, the lesson for me is always be in touch with the people who butter your bread. These people
Sure.
are the people who drive your show. And I think you actually have a very interesting community. And I'll say this, when they were coming to hate on my page, like I could tell there wasn't really a malice. Like you got like the fan base was kind of like, hey, Red Bar's watching. They're trolling me lightly, but
Sure.
other shows that might go unnamed, there's more malice. Like I think they actually hate me, or like they
Yeah.
think they say to do. It's like, fuck this guy. He's fucking stupid. He's an idiot. Like he's a douche. Like, and it's like,
Yeah, you
whoa,
see that. Yeah, exactly. And we always try to, show everybody. I love that you use the word lightly, because that's how we explain it to people. These are light, college-style trolls that we're trying to do to people to see how the people respond. And, you kind of responded in the way that made me think you're not as bad of a guy as maybe some others think you are. Now, I want to get back to this. You were fired. When did you learn about this firing? How quick was it?
What I think actually was an example of like a sort of little dust up that happened before, but there was a series of these little things where I'd kind of push back and stand up for myself. And generally speaking, like I wouldn't be speaking on this if it was like, if I felt like I was the only person who ever experienced this, but know that if I say something, it's probably indicative of a general pattern of if you see people leaving, it might be because of the way that their boss is treating them, and it's less than respectful. And I've
Wow.
listed off, we've had discussions before where I go, hey man, I feel like you're disrespecting me. And he goes, well, how so? And I'll list off like 10 things, and then he goes, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I'm like, no, it's not about being sorry I want you to
Sure.
address, is this indicative of you not liking me or thinking I'm a bad employee or what? Like, because he would pair things like that, I love you, but, and then shit on me. And I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this. What is your actual perception of me? Because I feel like you're subverting me in
And
a
this
lot of
is
ways.
with you and Brendan.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And actually, to Brian's credit, Brian was very, very supportive of me. And I felt like he actually went out of his way to like try and understand me as a person. So that's really all I can say about him. And me and him had a couple dust ups actually, but he was always very careful to like, if we had an argument, he'd come to me and pull me aside and go, hey, I didn't like how that went down or whatever. And I do respect that he was able to handle that kind of
Sure.
confrontation with a direct and final apology rather than, well, we both kind of had it, oh, well, yeah, I was mean, but, or whatever, the case may be. Now, I got fired actually because I couldn't come in on a Monday for Shop Show. Now, come to find out later that Brendan had actually taken me off the payroll for Thick Boy,
Ooh.
like after our last disagreement. I didn't realize it at the time, but he wasn't paying me to be there for the Shop Show, in which I take pictures, I annotate
Wow.
quotes during the show. I kind of just help, produce the show in a minor, like, like a PA, I guess. But
Sure.
I'm just there. I'm one of the hands on deck, just going, let's get these quote cards out as soon as possible. I write the episode description, I write the title. Sometimes I do the thumbnails, stuff like that.
That's a lot of work.
Now,
I'm telling you, that sounds like no work, but I hate doing that kind of stuff. That stuff could take you 2-3 hours, to do stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I like learning that stuff, but it's not. I think people can see it as insignificant or kind of, oh yeah, you just make the
No,
thumbnail.
it's not insignificant. Trust me. Even as simple as, we have to pick the thumbnail for each episode, that could take an hour. And it can be very grueling, frustrating, tedious work to do these little things that we see everybody else doing. You mentioned, I want to go back to this really quick. You said Brian Callan was careful, and you use this word careful. I've always, noticed Brian being very careful. I got to just ask you flat out, what's your take on the rape allegations with Brian? Because he is a careful man. And I do see a man who's very careful, trying to make sure nobody thinks he's a bad guy. Did you ever see anything that made me...
My honest take on Brian is that, and I'm just going to speak to my own experiences because I can't speak to anything where I'm not there, but when I interact with him, I sense a guy who is striving to be better, is striving to be as good as he can, and is striving to grow as a person. You might have a different perception based on what you can observe, but because certain things that he's done with me where he takes accountability for like, if we have an unpleasant text exchange, the next time I see him, he comes up and pulls me aside and makes sure to go, that was wrong of me, or what, or I'm sorry that I phrased it like this. I should have said this. And so that actually goes a long way with me. It doesn't say, I can't, I'm not in the business of speculating about things that I wasn't there to witness, but I think he's a guy who is genuinely trying to still improve and get better and take accountability in it.
Interesting.
So,
But could that be in a public eye sort of way where he wants the public to think that he's improving and getting better? I mean, everything I've seen from Brian Callan.
On interpersonally, I'm speaking on interpersonally,
Sure.
because I give a lot of credit to people who, if we have a nasty exchange, there's many ways to go about that in an immature way, and kind of like give somebody the cold shoulder or pretend like it didn't happen, especially when there's a hierarchy of like, yeah, you're the star of the show and I'm just a guy in the corner fucking doing the thumbnails. So, I really don't have any issue with
Okay.
him and anything that, because again, he's just based on what I've seen, he's been an ally to me.
So
Well,
he
and he's
probably
been
did it, but
somebody
he's
who-
really
yeah.
sorry.
He might have done it, but he's really sorry. And remember, he is an actor. Actors know how to act. We see this all the time. I got to ask you this. Have you ever noticed Brian Callan maybe worrying about money? Have you ever noticed any money worries with him, or maybe,
Yeah. I mean, I think that, he's conscious of the fact that, he's now my thing, I live pretty frugally, so, I don't have a ton of sympathy for people who have made all this money and, maybe could cut back on, you know, their lifestyle. I know it's been rough for him, but
has he cut back on his lifestyle?
not that I can tell.
Really?
But,
interesting. Where is, because the fighter and the kids numbers are getting pretty low. Brian's Patreon numbers are pretty low. My biggest wonderment, I'm always wondering. I'm a big gossip queen. I'm always wondering. I wonder where he's getting the money to afford this lifestyle that he set up with the ex-wife, with the kids. Was Fighter and the kid bringing in a lot of money currently while you were working with them?
I don't really know the finances. My understanding was Brian got a flat fee,
Okay.
of 25K a month or something like that. That's coming from Brendan, so take that.
25K a month. Okay.
But and then Brendan would take the rest. I really don't know. Like it's just it's honestly not something that I think that much about. But I would say that's probably a decent source of income for him. They still do a lot of ad reads, so even I know. Here's the thing: is like that lags. You know what I mean? Like if your views are going down, but you still have a sponsorship deal with like Happy Hippo Kratom or something like that. It's not like it's dependent each month on the views, but if you have
they're still giving you the same fee regardless of if your views are dipping.
Right, because you would negotiate like a 6-month term or a year-long term.
Okay.
But then they're like, well, you didn't quite reach as many eyeballs as you projected, so we're going to have to renegotiate.
What about this?
That.
Did you hear anything about maybe Joe Rogan giving him a nice chunk of change to get by during his cancellation?
I actually haven't heard that, but I think that would be a very friendly gesture.
Yeah.
And that'd be very generous of him to do that. But again, I really don't. It's somebody else's finances. It's not something I think about.
Yeah, that's something we're very concerned with here is his finances, and we also want to know. Yeah,
not that I couldn't be concerned because I go. If I don't have the information or I haven't talked to somebody who's seen their actual bank accounts, then like I know it's not going to be productive for me to speculate on it just inside my head. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But you might be able to look at different clues and stuff like that to ascertain a different outcome. But look. I like in general, Brendan seems to be firing a lot of people, and I almost think that he sees that as a money saving endeavor, like just firing people and loading up the the responsibilities on other people. And I was going to finish my thought on getting fired.
Yeah, please.
I couldn't come in on Monday, and it was really stressing me out because I was actually in Vegas with my girl, and
Hell yeah.
she had been mad at me for months and months and months because I was going on the road with him. We didn't have time for dates. We didn't have, you know, a lot of like downtime. And so we went to Vegas for the night to go see a Cirque du Soleil show and go get dinner. And then we ended up like not being able to get back as early as we thought we were going to. And so I basically covered my shift. I said, hey, look, I already talked to one of the other guys at Thick Boy. He's going to be able to do my job this morning. That, and I'm going to come in later for TFAT K, and I'm going to edit, as many reels as you need, right? Because that was,
Sure.
I started basically moving to being an editor. I learned how to do Adobe Premiere while I was at the studio, and I was getting, pretty good and pretty fast at making reels.
Sure.
And so I said, I'm going to come back. I'm going to get the footage from Chin. I'll put in my 8-hour shift or whatever after, it's just going to be tonight. And it was like just a shitty message back. Like,
Ooh.
I was stressed out sending it. I don't like missing work. I don't like letting people down. But again, I'd already been fired. Like, I'd already been taken off the payroll for Thick Boy. So I wasn't even being paid for that. Like, those, because I got paid from Fight on the Kid, the Golden Hour, and Thick Boy. So I've been taken off that payroll, but somehow I'm getting reprimanded for not showing up. And
Wow.
then on my way back from Vegas, Brendan almost never asks about reels, like the Fight on the Kid reels, like the social media clips. But for some reason, after the Bradley Martin episode, he was like really concerned about, like, guys, are we on top of the reels? Mark, are you on top of it? Texting the
Wow.
group in a kind of aggressive way after he'd had a kind of little dust up with the booker in another group chat. And I hate when people take, like, it's like if you get in a fight with somebody and you come back and you're shitty to me, it's like, hey, dude, don't fucking do that.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, don't take that weird energy and come back at me. So what I did was, now this, keep in mind, that episode dropped at like 6:15 p.m. He's already texting before it drops, going, Mark, are you on top of the reels? Like, are you editing the reels right now? And I, keep in mind, I said I was going to. He's never had an instance where I said I was going to do something and didn't. And so Chin corrects him and goes like, well, the episode's not even live yet. He can't even have the footage. Like I can't even send it to him yet. I have to Dropbox it to him. And then I decided I didn't like the tone of this. It's 6:30 p.m. He knows exactly what was going on. I made a promise to him. This is the first time he's ever been the day before concerned about getting the reels out the next day when I've always done them on time. It's never been an issue, and he's never
Yeah.
even cared about it, even if they were late. And so I decided to not text him back.
Wow. And
And
how do you take
I
that?
said, you know what? I'm going to. So,
Uh-oh.
but when the episode dropped at 6:15, I'm driving home from Vegas, right? I've got the wheel in one hand, the earphones in. I'm taking notes with my other hand throughout the whole episode, making time code notes with my free hand so that I can get home, immediately start editing. And by 9 a.m., I had edited 5 reels and had a 6th one on the way. Now, keep in mind,
Wow.
every other editor would do one by the next day. I got home, I started editing, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go above and beyond. And it wasn't like I was MIA for the whole time, but let's say by 10:15 p.m., he'd had the first reel. And then at 12, he had another reel. And then at 3 a.m., he had another reel. And at 6 a.m., he had another reel. And, so I just kept going like, this will kind of, I knew he wasn't going to be happy about it, but I decided to set up, like the Joker in the Dark Knight, where it's
Sure.
like, who are you going to pick? Like, which one are you going to choose? I set up a situation to me that was like, are you going to choose to freak the fuck out because I didn't text you back for a few hours? Or are you going to congratulate me on going above and beyond and
And
making
doing the
5
5
excellent
reels.
reels?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you've only ever had one by the next morning around 9, 10, or 11, and you can imagine what he chose.
So what did he say to you?
Well, keep in mind, he'd been texting me throughout this, like, hey, Mark, are you on? Hello, Mark. You can't not text Brendan back. And this has been a sort of ongoing
Ah,
theme
he
with
gets
many
mad about
people where
that, huh?
he goes, you alive? You alive? Are you there? And even whether you're employed by him or you're a friend that he feels like he has control over because maybe you open for him or something like that, the moment he gives you money of any sort or does anything, there's a feeling like he owns you for the rest of your life, right?
Ooh.
And tend to not like that if they value their autonomy. So I didn't text him back for a few hours. I did it deliberately. It was
Sure.
stressful for me because he's hitting the group text. He's texting me privately, like he's he sees that I had read the text message. He goes, Mark, this is silly. Just text me back. Just let me know. I have to hire a whole nother editor. So he made this crisis out of it. Like, I had to hire a whole nother editor because you didn't come. And I go, by 10 p.m., don't tell me that you'd hired some other guy who's already starting working. You couldn't do it. And I even said the next day when he said it in the group chat, he finally woke up and saw I'd been sending all these reels. He's like, yeah, Mark, I don't know. We had to hire someone else, man. You went MIA and you really fucked us. And I go, well, okay, so you hired somebody else. How much did you pay them? I'll cash app you right now. I'll reimburse you. So that wasn't enough. And then he keeps going. He's like, this is just not how it's done, like blah, 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 really laying into me. And I go, I think if you just got all the work that I did, I basically worked for 15 hours straight after giving you a reasonable excuse and getting my shift covered in the morning. If you're concerned about me not texting you back for a few hours after I'm offering to pay, maybe you had your priorities backwards. And of course, he didn't like that. So it escalated to him just going, yeah, man, I'm sorry, this isn't working out. I can pay you for February, which, we'll see about that. There's a lot of
he still hasn't paid.
I won't be getting into a lot of these things, but this time I'd had other issues before where he kind of like blamed it on me, or he'd go like, other people are saying this. And then I'd go to them and apologize and say, hey, man, if I did something that upset you, or, if my behavior in any way, but it was always about me and him, because like everyone else at Thick Boy is great. Everyone else that I've worked with there.
Okay, so you would say your relationship with Brendan is not good. You got a sour taste in your mouth about working with these guys here. Would you go back to working with Fighter and the Kid if they apologized for this?
Never.
Okay, so
Never.
All right. Well, you've got your floor here. This is probably a good opportunity for you to, get some of this stuff off your chest. Is there anything you want the public to know about Brendan and Brian that they might not know? This is your opportunity to.
And I'll be putting out more, like, because I do want to. If I say anything, again, I'm very careful to not make this personal, not make it vindictive, not make it bitter, but I'm going to point out certain things that I've observed. And one of them is that there's a pattern. There's a pattern of people leaving Thick Boy and the employment of a certain former employer of mine. And that could be people who opened for him. That could be people who have worked for him over the years in various capacities. That could be the creative director who recently quit, but was reframed as having been fired. I don't appreciate stuff like that. When people lie about the work that others have done, this happened to Christian, quote unquote, Meatball. He moved on to a different job, and Brendan turned around and said that he fired him. It's very bizarre to me, and I think indicative of, dare I say, a habit of pathological lying.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of where, I thought you were going to go with this. You think this guy's kind of a liar, kind of lies, to get himself through whatever he's going.
Yeah. And, I'm very hesitant to make that accusation against anybody, because it's a heavy accusation to make against any human, to call them a liar. But for example, he's called Brian Callan a liar on the show. He's very keen to call other people liars, but I've just witnessed it myself.
Wow.
Where things are promised and not delivered.
Was there anything else that was there anything else that he's said maybe to the public that we assumed was a lie, that he said, was totally, legit? Is there anything that you heard? Well, there was that thing with Bobby Lee. Remember this big incident where he said he had all these documents, 300 pages of files. What was that all about?
Well, I would describe that broadly as like, if you had a choose your own adventure, and like at each step there was like just the worst possible step you could take. It's like, and you could either go in the door, or you could stick your hand in the wood chipper. It's like, I'm going to stick my hand in the wood chipper. Then it's like, you could call 911, or you could shoot yourself in the foot with a shotgun. And you're like, I'll shoot myself in the foot with a shotgun. So that's kind of what it felt like at 10 different steps. But the main question I think that people have is like, is this 300 pages of evidence real?
Yeah. Is it?
Has Brendan seen 300 pages of evidence? I think he may have been told by that, but like, or told about that. And I'll just try to be specific here, because the speculation is that none of this ever happened, right? Or like that it was a complete fabrication,
Sure.
right? It's not a complete fabrication in the sense that I believe he believed that he had this information that Bobby was somehow connected to the subreddit.
Sure.
Let's just say, in a theoretical world, I don't know, maybe if you were looking to get a subreddit taken down, maybe you might hire some unsavory people. Maybe those unsavory people, in this theoretical scenario,
Mm.
are scamming you. Maybe they're real, but maybe they're scamming you. Maybe they're passing on information to you as a rube who doesn't know anything about computers, claiming that they're making progress in taking a website down that you, in this theoretical
So you
scenario.
never saw 300 pages of documents. You never saw him carrying a big book of
I never
300.
saw it, and he never saw it, but was passing it on as if he had. Because
Wow.
now, do I believe he was told something to that effect? Yes. Do I think that Brendan's easy to take advantage of because of his naivete and unwillingness to sort of look into and confront the factual reality of certain scenarios? Yes. So now let's take it to that step where you go, okay, if I came to you and said, RedBar, we have evidence that Mark Harley is running this hate group online against you.
Yeah.
You necessarily call me up and go, hey, motherfucker, I know it's you, yada, yada, yada. Like, I'm going to beat your ass, this and that. What you might do, if you actually believe that, is say, store that information in my back pocket.
Sure.
And just, it could be true, it could not be true, but I'm just going to sort of suss it
So
out.
he just heard about that 300 pages. He never really saw it, and then he just used it when he needed to kind of explain.
Correct.
Wow.
That's part of this pattern is like.
Yeah, he just I can see. Yeah, we've got a lot of guys like that. Now, I really want to ask you this. Brendan is a married man. Dalia is a married man. What's their behavior like around women? Have you seen them flirt with any women? Have you seen them go on any dates with any women outside of their marriages?
I really, I can't speak on that. And
Wow.
I'll say this about Chris.
Yeah, I was just gonna, I've got Chris running through my mind because you also worked on the Golden Hour, and Chris D'Elia is now a part of that podcast.
Yes.
So please say what you were going to say.
I'll say this about Chris. Chris, was very supportive of me. Chris was very nice to me. Chris reposted clips from my podcast. If I ever did anything for him, he would be, effusive in expressing gratitude towards me. My honest take on Chris is that he knows that he's got problems and he's earnestly trying to get better. I could be wrong, but my take on him was actually that his position is that of sincerity. You can measure the things that you've heard about him against your own moral compass, and take that information for whatever you want it as. But my experience of him in person was that he was kind and gracious and went out of his way to help me in ways that he didn't have to.
Which should be even more suspicious, because for him to be kind and gracious to a guy like you, what is he up to? So that to me is even more suspicious, that he's trying to get these guys to think he's a good guy. Okay, so you'd never overheard Chris, Brendan, or Brian talking about other girls, flirting with other girls outside of their marriages?
I would say I overheard Chris saying, like, expressing that he's, talking about rehab or trying to get better, or saying like, it's expressing that he is trying and going through something difficult, but no, not anything like that. And it's just I have to plead the fifth with some of these other people, but because it's honestly not my place to speculate even.
But you have seen Brendan kind of getting close to crossing that line with his marriage there, is what you're saying.
Well, I would just say this. you know, is there a single person that Brendan is honest to in his life? If so, I'm not aware of it.
Wow. Okay.
And, you know,
How's his relationship with his son? Have you ever seen him do anything sexual with his son, who we hear has he's got suffers from seizures? You ever seen him? Do you think he has a lot of love for his son, or does he hang out with his son a lot?
You know, is there? Do I think he loves his son? Yes, very much so. The thing that I was gonna say earlier is like, I don't know if I mentioned this. You know, we DM'd a little bit, but like he was doing this joke on stage about me where, and I can like recite it word for word because I've heard it so many times. I'd be in the, you know, the crowd taking social media pictures. This joke he does about me where I'm like in this scenario, it's completely fabricated. That he's telling people, the audience, that like, oh, my buddy Mark's here. He does all my social media. He also does my security, but he's always on his phone. So if he wanted to kill me, now would be a good time. So I'm gonna get him murdered in this joke. He is recently single. I'm not. He's on all these dating apps, Bumble, Tinder, Grinder. So I'm gay in this joke. He went on this second date with this girl Tiffany that he's like.
Wait.
So, like,
I think I'm sorry. Yeah. Is he using you to describe stuff that maybe he's gone through?
Well, I don't know, but I have asked him before. I'm like, what is going on with this joke? Like, it's completely fabricated, and you know, there seems to be like a mix of how you actually feel about me because you're always complaining that I'm on my phone, even though I run all your social media. But let me just get to the punchline. The punchline is, he goes, in this scenario, I'm telling a girl that I'm gonna send a dick pic. So it's like, you know, it comes to me, he's like, hey, I'm thinking about sending her a dick pic. And then in this scenario, it's like, oh yeah, dude, yeah, go ahead and do that. Like mocking the idea that I would do that in this climate.
Okay.
And then he goes, don't be gay, let me see that thing. It's probably, oh, one of the punchlines is, yeah, Mark's on steroids. Ha 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 ha. And it's like, okay. And then he goes, let me see that thing. It's probably got gills on it, you know, because you take so many steroids. And then he goes, Houston or whatever cities that, you know, San Antonio, it was the worst dick pic I've ever seen. And it's taken head on like a great white shark. It's blurry, it's this, it's that. I'm like, I've never showed you a dick pic though, or never done this. And that's all set up to talk about how awesome his dick pics are. And this is verified. It's on this, like, so I'm not breaking any news, but this is like a whole bit where he throws me into the bus with a fabricated, you know, situation in which like I'm this clueless, like, you know, naive steroid freak, like incompetent security guard. And like he could use anybody's name, but he chooses to use mine. And I'm saying that all to set up the fact that he does this joke about his kid that's like, the joke is how bad his son is at jujitsu, and his son's actually really good at jujitsu. He goes, yeah, he got his first takedown after 2 years in jujitsu. And I'm like, that's not true. Like, you're always talking about how he crushes every other kid at jujitsu and he's bigger than everyone. So I'm like, in this scenario, your son's unathletic and shitty at jujitsu, and the setup is like he gets his first takedown after 2 years. You go to the ice cream store and they don't have his favorite ice cream, so he screams out, "Oh fuck!" And it's like embarrassing for you. So it's like he's using his son with made up scenarios to like be like, my son is like incompetent and bad at stuff, and like I'm just this big dad, and like, you know, incompetent, all this stuff, and like I take amazing dick pics, and like, you know, so, you know, it's just, to me, that's always a little bit weird. And like,
okay, so you're confirming he's very weird around his son in like a sexual way. All right, before we let you go, any dirt on either of these guys, Chris D'Elia, Brian Callan, or Brendan Schaub, if you could give us one piece on each guy real quickly.
No, I can't do that on, you know, again, these other guys, I'm going to judge them based on how they've behaved towards me. I would say Brendan over time has kind of just showed himself to be somebody who will say that he loves you and turn around and shit on me behind my back, call me sensitive behind my back to many people, apparently. He's still doing that joke on stage. I haven't talked to him for a month, but he's still telling people in random cities that I'm both in the crowd and that I send shitty dick pics. And, you know, I think we'll see more in the future as far as, you know, when you ask about finances and stuff, look, there's some unpaid bills if you catch my drift. And so I hope this can all be resolved, but
well, we don't. What we really want from you is to tell us, really horrible things that we've never heard before about either of these three guys. If you don't have that, what's the point?
Yeah, I'm totally worthless.
Please, you got to think of something. There's got to be something bad that these guys did, or are they really safe around everybody now because everybody's a watching,
Well, I think there's that energy in the air, but
okay.
Look, there's just certain things that have been framed to me. I would say that when you find out about it afterwards, this is just a general pattern where it's like I'm going to bat for you in situations like Ariel Helwani or and I advised him with the Bobby Lee thing. I'm like, oh, okay, good. It sounds like you're not gonna talk to him in person, or you're gonna wait till you see him in person to do this and whatever. And I thought, I was like, okay, it's gonna buy me some time to advise him on how to not, make this into a bigger situation than it needs to be. And he chose the wrong path and chose to call him up, harass him on the phone, and blow this stupid situation way out of proportion, and ultimately consider that somebody else's fault. So if things aren't trending in the right direction for you, and you're not taking these moments into consideration as something that is 100% your fault, then you're not going to be able to course correct. You're not going to have any self-awareness. You're not going to do the work on yourself that you're going to need to fix this trend.
I want to give you one more chance. Talking bad about them could really help your career. You really don't have many options left here after you're being fired for them. This could make you a big star. They got a lot of enemies, enough enemies to support you for life. I'm going to ask you again, is there anything you could think of? Something juicy, something good. It can't just be, Brendan, he's kind of mean to me during the work. Something good that could be in the papers. A headline. Can you think of anything? This is going to be your last chance here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put all that information in my own video.
There you go. Okay. Yes. All right. Well, Hella Mark Harley, thank you for your bravery, and we are awaiting your video. We hope you've got some more dirt than that. And I don't know what else I could say. I'm going to be contacting you for some help on my physical fitness, if that's okay. I'd love to be trained by you. This guy's got an amazing body. Not so much over here, but he's got an amazing body. And thank you so much for letting us know what you know. And we're hoping there's more there, Hella Mark. We're hoping.
Can't wait to see what you put out.
No, again, I'm sorry to disappoint anybody, but this is all, I'm trying to work certain things out behind the scenes, and
yes, of
hopefully
course.
everything.
Okay, well, we're going to assume that these guys were we're going to assume that there's a lot of bad stuff out there, that these guys were smart and safe around you as they didn't trust you. So
maybe
we'll look at it like that. Thank you so much, Hella Mark. We appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Hella Mark Harley, everybody. There he is.
Oh, you're showing your messages.
Oh, boy. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We'll see you very soon. Don't touch that dial. Thank you so much. None of these messages were bad.